and in passing mentions that information guild has not found anything on those responsible for eliminating his brother Leo. Now wants to know what his goal is, doubting whether it is revenge, and Alan thinks that all things that are different are probably effects caused by their fall, mentioning that he will only prepare for offense. Even praised him for sounding like a real count, and then Alan began to read Yushia's letter that he told her that Diaz continues to improve in their roles. Seolran loves to play with her friends. Ryan now read quietly while creating some things. Raiden has taken up the hobby of tending his garden, and for his part, she felt more familiar with the exchange of news every month. And now this act warms his heart more and more. Alan accepts that he has never been to see them, but inevitably began to smile, knowing that they are playing well. And I understand how old these children are. Even tells him that they are ready to go out into society, because they are already teenagers, making the image children's tenderness to break in Alan's mind, and they are supposed to want to leave soon, so it was time to let them go. Even wants to check if he is sure, since I had put them all in the same place, because they had injuries, but Alan believes there is no longer any reason for that, and now that they have grown up, it is time to let them go to fight for their future. The real reason to rescue them was always to prevent them from up like the 5 sins capital, so there should be no more problems with them. Remember that every battle against the bosses had a general outline of its background revealed through the narration, and for example, Yushia had the talent of faith, Diaz was talented with the sword, Ryan had the talent for the Zeolran studio. She was talented as a fighter, and Raiden had the talent to paint. If they use those talents in the right fields are going to be more than fine, and in this farewell letter, we'll take the opportunity to prepare a gift for each one of them. In the evening, he finally won the cards, and Ethan, just woken up, took them to deliver them as soon as possible. At the same time that Alan wonders if he will be able to receive a gift by them when they grow up. Although for now wants them to read their letters and go out into the world. Sometime later, Yusha with a face seriously warned everyone that the orders have arrived, but this time the gray Alan gave them to each of them separately. Seolran was quite excited while Diaz and Raiden were a little surprised. Ryan was very happy, and Yusha simply stared at hers. Although he recommended to all who first read the above letters, because your commands require a high level of understanding. Seolra can't believe she can really read them, since before it was only Yushi could have done it, and she mentions that now Alan gave orders to each one of them, which means it's time for everyone to see them. After a couple of minutes, they were tremendously disappointed, because all the above cards look like a simple daily talk. However, Yute mentions that Alan has always disguised your orders as if they were normal conversations. And for example, in that one he told her that his brother used him as a chair, being a way to mark the target to be eliminated, and later told him to report the situation afterwards. Thus continues, explaining in detail each of the above cards, so that they know how to interpret the one you have just sent them. But understood that this is done to prevent information leaks, something that Utia confirms, saying that they must understand clearly the orders and carry out the mission. The kids ask if it wasn't better to visit him in person, or use an interactive communicator, because in this way also would prevent leaks of information. Uchiha, in a hostile manner, reminds them that all they have to do is follow orders, and Zias can't believe he has such cold confidence. And to calm her down, she said that she had forgotten it. Seolran, excited, mentions that it is time to read the new order. And after several minutes, Zias reveals that Alan wants the nation of killers to go to Caliburn. Seolran was sent to the colony, and that discouraged her, because she doesn't like Asians. Raiden had to go to Rexas in the city of Paradise. And the destiny of Ryan is Lartania, the labyrinthine city. Finally, Yuya reveals that she was sent to the Holy Kingdom Rosary, and assumes that the letter from all has written what they should do. Diaz mentions that Alan told him to be calm, and they all ran. Adds that he also mentioned not to worry, because he will continue sponsoring them. Ryan says that in the letter the location of the gifts, and Raiden is also indicated, thinks they have to go find out, no matter what, before they leave Ute. Ask them to always remember that never must mention the blue moon, unless the big moon. Alan say it first. With that, of course, all went their own way. And after 3 months, Alan was still finding nothing about the change in magic and phrases, so you will have to experiment on your own. Now that you think about it, you want to know how information gathering is going on the person responsible for the death of his brother, but Avan mentions that the Information Guild still haven't found anything. Alan think that this effect, for having saved the 5 sins, he was handshake even. Loria became the Duchess of Alcha when the original story, lost its life, and is now expanding its power. He influences the underworld at a frightening speed. Resigned, asked even to stop the suspect's investigation. as this is a situation in which it is much better not to get involved, because in history, original almost nothing escapes from the network of the Information Guild, so that the Earth, running into something dangerous for snooping around where it shouldn't. In the end, secret organizations are like this. They won't hurt you as long as you don't mind your own business, and at this rate there is no point in continuing. Ivan says he will go to ask the guild to stop the investigation, and by the way, informs him that Diaz was recently named governor in Caliber. What? Alan is not very interested. After 3 months, Ehud told him that Diaz had already created a whole warrant for reinforcements, which means that at least must be of an expert level or higher. The lowest level is sword user, then continues to be an expert in the sword, and above is the master of the sword. Alan thinks it is impressive that he is already an expert, because it hasn't been long since he was named governor, and even reveals that according to people, the world will see the 5th master hero in less than 10 years. Alan understands that these teachers are the same ones that are called Caliburn swords, feeling quite proud of him, and Ivan also agrees that he is very talented, and for sure Caliburn is upset about this. 6 months later, it had already been a year since the 5 sons had left the orphanage, and just when the Alan was getting used to the job of count, Ivan came to give you recent news. It turns out that God has already become a Caliburn sword, becoming the 5th 7th master. What confused Alan, since only sword masters can become master heroes in the game. The sword masters are superhumans who have gone beyond the aura leaf and unlock a unique ability called derivation, so that he finds it hard to believe that Diaz is already at that level. Fan clarifies that he is about to be so since it has not yet created its derivation, but the nation gave him the title of master hero anyway. In addition to having defeated the 4th sword in a duel, Caliburn had also lost a prestigious master to the barbarians of the north, making them give it the title faster, and Alan recalled that this nation has been at war for more than a decade. Even mentions that realizing the mana and moving it takes 15 years, and derivation takes a few decades. Alan recalls that the first Reinhardt sword was 32 years old when he became the hero, youngest teacher in history, and in episode 3 of the game, had to accept him as a temporary ally. However, despite his talent, it took him more than 20 years to reach that level, and now a child without knowledge of swords became a master monster much faster. Believes that he may be able to profit from it sooner than expected, or perhaps not, since he currently only receives letters of Jusha. Even after going to the Holy Kingdom, his letters kept arriving regularly and contained news about the other deadly sins. So it seems that the others do continue to be in contact with it. It is true that his face has never been seen, but believes that at least could you appreciate the gift he gave them. Quickly became right, because he is already very grateful that they have not the kingdom destroyed after up like the 5 deadly sins. And as long as they are well, he will be happy. In the capital of Caliburn, the residence of a high-ranking nobleman is presented to us, located in the central curtain area, being the mansion where the illustrious Order of Orbits of the solar eclipse Diaz. I was watching everything from a big window, since he is the captain of this order office, and the 7th youngest teacher in history. A girl entering the mansion greeted him kindly by calling him brother, and he concluded the greeting with a warm smile. Then calmed down, thinking that it has been a year. But remembering it still shames him. When he lost everything to those things, black women who took her sister, and the only thing left was uncontrollable anger. Hatred only increased as the days went by. And the fact that the big moon save was not reason enough to swear allegiance to him. Sin embargo, Ute promised him that he could take revenge with his own hands. So he followed his orders and left as part of the Blue Moon. They put him in many dangerous missions and training sessions, and at no time did he care about his welfare. For a few years, carried out missions that would become the base to fight those black things, and soon received a personal order for the first time. In the same letter, Alan told him to go to a small hotel in South Caliburn, because that's where he left her a gift. At the time, this did not generate any emotion, and just went to the place with few big expectations. Was he surprised to see that in that place he was that person, and understood that the gift of the big moon was the family that he thought he had lost forever. Excited to tears, because he could reconnecting with his sister, whom he considers more valuable than his life. Immediately wanted Silly tell him what happened after he lost it, and being calmer, she revealed that when those things separated them, had to wait its turn to be eliminated, for a long time in the dark. That day finally came, but was able to escape thanks to the light, and a few years later, was about to be sold to a slave trader. Fortunately, the mercenary Ivan appeared to save her, and after that he received a very valuable sponsor. In the note left by, Alan said he would continue to send the medicine and support making it clear to him that he will be safe under the name Yahello, and he doesn't have to worry about his brother either. Silly is very grateful to Alan for helping her so much. And Dees could not believe that he protected her under his name, wondering how the Big Moon found out about this. Had never said anything about his family, and Yusha only noticed that the Black Lamb had caught him. In that he recalls that Yusha said that Alan knows everything, and now he understands that this is true. He used to find it difficult to understand Yusha's anxiety, who always made it clear that they should not think for themselves. Yet the fool was him. Recalled when Alan said good things will happen, what he did not understand at the time. But in reality, Alan I already knew everything, and had given him a clue, the child who would stay alone to survive. That is him. Thinks that Alan saw that his sword wanted to act on his own, but he decided to be merciful and give back to his sister, making him understand that he could always destroy him if he wanted to. While he was filled with hatred and desires for revenge against the Black Sheep, Alan ensured his family's survival, considering it an immeasurable gift. Yusha once told him that soon also, I would understand the reason why he follows the Big Moon. And now you know she didn't behave like a crazy fan. Nor was I trusting the blind. With that of course, decided that he would return the favor to Alan, and fulfill its mission to become the Caliburn Cast. The seventh master also will create an injunction, and fill it with the best swordsman he encounters. At present one of its subordinates approached him to warn him that the time had come, and everyone was ready to perform this restoration, which will serve as the first step for solar eclipse order. Goodbye no matter what kind of difficulties come, because it will continue to for the day to come when he can offer their friendship to Alan along with a reward that satisfies him, and in this way, the reflections of the solar eclipse set out in an expedition to fight the barbarians. On the other hand, Alan was enjoying a great peace, believing that it is because their children have grown up. The only bad thing are the mountain of books he has had to make, because after returning of the labyrinth concentrated on investigating the phrase, and with what he has just written he translates his reports. Reinforces the imperfection within an already completed spell, increasing its reach. Repulsion crushes the form, affecting the transition of the launched projectile. Blue light reinforces magic in parallel. Like electric magic, the diffraction line provides penetration power. It is a critical shock effect. All this makes up the rules of the phrase, and if the spell is broken, it fails. He does not own much mana, making it possible to use magic only once a day, so it took him a long time to figure all this out. According to the setting of this world, hand signs and phrases of Babylon had long been forgotten, so there was no way to find information about them. In the end he had to investigate on his own, having a little fun in the process, although he learned magic just to defend himself. Today you will see the result of 2 months of experiments, proceeding to make the first hand seal, and made this weak magic, began to take shape, a certain purpose in reciting the sentences. Then added the needle compression, decomposition the flower, ephemeral, and after reciting these words, created a great tree from those rays. With this he realized that order also matters, because he failed when he used decomposition first. In that someone said it was impossible, and when Alan turned his gaze and learned that Kalia and her servant were witnessing a frightened, Kalia asks if this is original magic, and he doesn't understand what she is doing here. Kalia's servant mentions that using source magic means that it is at the level of a magician in such a circle, what shocked Alan, since above that there are only those in such a circle. Later in the reception hall, Kalia recalls that he had 2 clear reasons for coming here. The first was to confirm the Count's intentions, paladin who holds the trump card, capable of inflicting enormous damage on the Sininia family. The second reason to come was measure the level of the organization that protects Alan, since that force was the one that allowed him to take control of the palaces. But instead they discovered something surprising, and in fact I had never seen, trembling with fear of this magician Bankel. Is a 5th circle magician, expelled by the magic tower for his inhuman experiments, and is sufficiently skilled as to annihilate to a whole division of soldiers with ease, raising their confidence to such an extent that he was even with her. Its sponsor for years, however, can now clearly feel your fear. Something I had never seen before, wondering if that was really original magic. At that instant, Alan arrived at the salon apologizing for the delay, and asked him directly about the reason for this visit. Kali regrets the sudden visit, excusing himself that I really wanted to meet him. So he came to the mansion. Alan will not blame him, but wants to make something clear, saying that a while ago was not original magic, and in fact his magical abilities barely make him arrive to the 2nd circle as sure that the magician by his side could have realized that this magic has no effect, and inside he thinks that the latter is true, as this is not useful for defending or attacking. However, they understood that Alan is ordering them to remain silent about the powerful skills they saw, so Bianco Pane exclaims that he only saw things wrong, surprising Kalia because even this old man is being courteous with Alan.